Hey everyone, Brian here. Welcome to a new edition of Guess Who Got Breached this week. Again, we highlight the breaches that happened in the last week or so to businesses, mainly in the United States. We will highlight the big ones around the globe, but we try to bring you relevant information around who got breached this week in the US. We typically try to focus on small to medium-sized businesses because in that community of the people that I talk to, they seem to be the ones who think that they're immune from this stuff and that the hackers and the people that do these breaches only want to go after the big guys that have lots and lots of money, which it's not true at all. In fact, small businesses are more of a threat to get attacked because hackers know they don't have the money to invest in the right security. So hackers know that they have a pretty good shot of going after the low-hanging fruit, which is your small business and your company. So we're going to talk about a few this week, 3 of them exactly. Well, actually, I'm going to talk about 2, and then I'm going to go into an older company that was hit a while ago and just do a little kind of follow-up to see what happened to their business after they disclosed that they had a ransomware attack. So the first one we're going to hit up this week is Diebold. Diebold is the big ATM company that manufactures and manages ATMs. Well, their corporate network was hit with a ransomware attack that disrupted some of the company operations. They claim that the hackers never touched its ATMs or customer networks, but the Canton, Ohio-based firm did disclose that a Saturday evening in April, their security team discovered anomalies in the behavior of the network. What that means is it's just a really fancy term for, hey, what we normally see going on our network, now we see something that normally doesn't happen, so we need to take a look at it, which is a very common practice when it comes to security, is checking for things that are not normal, traffic patterns, activities. That's one telltale sign that, you know, somebody may be doing something on your network that they shouldn't. So their network professionals jumped in. They suspected that some kind of malicious behavior was going on, mainly a ransomware attack. They probably saw a bunch of files being touched or encrypted very quickly. So they began disconnecting systems on the network to contain the threat. It affected services for over 100 of the company's customers, but the attack did not disrupt any systems related to their service technicians or ATMs and things like that. They did contain it. So the investigation determined that intruders installed the ProLock ransomware. It's not really a common ransomware that you typically see being deployed. So whoever did this probably knew they had access, knew what they had access to. That's why they decided to go out and use a very good ransomware tool to carry out this ransomware attack. Okay, and then the Diebold says they did not pay the ransom and that they would not disclose what the ransomware demand was. However, we know with this particular ProLock ransomware, it's typically known out there that the hackers typically demand somewhere in the neighborhood of $175,000 to up to $1 million. So it's ransomware that works really well because it's able to encrypt a ton of files very quickly, and B, the demand is usually very high. But they are able to decrypt the files. It's unfortunately, this might be news to you, but there are different levels of like good and bad ransomware out there. Like if you get hacked with bad ransomware and the person who put it on your system doesn't really have good experience with it or doesn't know what to do with it, and they have to go to support from the third party or the person who created it, that kind of stuff happens. Like, there's crappy ransomware out there and there's good ransomware out there. The crappy ransomware, A, sometimes doesn't even encrypt your files, and B, when you go to decrypt it, sometimes it doesn't work that way either. So I would assume that the hackers knew that they had a good foothold on a good company and they were going to use a good piece of software that was going to A, successfully encrypt the files, and B, if they got paid, successfully decrypt the files. And finally, it's another pattern that we're seeing here with ransomware is that attackers are now deciding to launch their ransomware attacks on the weekends after hours. So it's becoming very common that after you leave on Friday, these ransomware or the attackers who have a foothold in your network already release ransomware on a Friday night, Saturday morning type of thing. And they require everyone in the company's attention at that point because something is going on the weekend. Companies will have to pay their IT people to come in on the weekends to start taking care of these problems. However, in this particular case, the ProLock people that own that ransomware, they have not started a blog or anything like that yet to release the information that they obtained when they breached this network. However, it's been reported on the dark web that they're heading in that direction and that the details of the Diebold ransomware attack will be made public very shortly. Most ransomware people are heading in that direction because Diebold did not pay them and they did not cave into the demands. If they were able to extract data before they encrypted it, it will now be out on the dark web in some kind of blog post or some kind of release in some other fashion. It's all ransomware incidents, probably since the beginning of 2020, have pretty much been coincided with a breach, meaning data was accessed or taken by somebody who shouldn't have taken it. It wasn't just somebody got access and then just decided to deploy ransomware. That is not what we're seeing. What we're seeing are they're in there for a while, they're determining what they have, they're deploying the ransomware at the very end when they want to be known, caught, or paid. So that's what we see in the Diebold case, and I will absolutely create a follow-on video to this video explaining what happens when the ProLock people put out the information about this Diebold attack. So the second one I want to talk about this week is Magellan Health, which is a Fortune 500 company, reports that hackers exfiltrated data from its systems before launching a ransomware attack. They're calling it a sophisticated cybersecurity incident. I guess we'll see. They're an Arizona-based healthcare conglomerate, and they're notifying an undisclosed number of its employees that their data was compromised after threat actors exfiltrated sensitive data before deploying ransomware. On April 11th, the Fortune 500 company discovered it had fallen victim to a ransomware attack. Hackers first gained access to the Magellan Health networks 5 days earlier through a social engineering phishing scheme that impersonated a Magellan client. So let's go back. Magellan client, Facebook, social media, fake profile, fake posts, and Magellan employees went and clicked on something that was put out by hackers to make it look like it was a Magellan Health employee. The employees clicked on the link. They went to wherever the link took them, which was probably a malware site that had a payload on it, which then allowed hackers into the Magellan Health network. And then they were able to figure out where they were, who they were about to steal data from, and then deploy a ransomware attack on. So it's very important that you're doing things like security awareness training for your employees. Every company should have a security awareness training plan in place for their company. I've said it before and I'll say it again. No employee wants to be the reason that your company is now in the news and being written about on CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, NBC, ABC, everywhere. Your company is going to be plastered that you've had a breach, you've had a ransomware attack, and there's usually one employee solely responsible for that, and no employee wants to be that employee. So if you are providing security awareness training, I give you kudos. But if you're not going to get any sympathy from anybody when a ransomware attack affects your business and your employees. You're going to be labeled things like irresponsible, careless, has your head buried in the sand, or even worse, grossly negligent. Grossly negligent means that your insurance company is not going to pay and you're going to be on the hook for every lawsuit that comes your way as a result of this. So it's very important that things like security awareness training are in place at your company so your employees are aware that they should not be going on social media and clicking on links from messages from people that they perceive to possibly be clients of theirs or customers of theirs. You know, it could be a very simple thing. It could be simple as this. I'm going to give you an example. I had a FedEx package delivered today to FedEx employees, and I say, hey, I have a FedEx package delivered today and it was damaged, and here's a picture of it. And I put a link to the picture, right? They click on that link to the picture and boom, now I got malware on the system at FedEx. So it's very important that you get a good security awareness training plan in place that is constantly updated. You don't want to be teaching your employees about ransomware attacks and things that were relevant 2 years ago. This stuff changes on a month-to-month basis. 4 months ago, hackers were not stealing data before they deployed ransomware. Today they are, and they're doing it on a consistent basis. Almost every attack, data is being stolen. So it's important that as things change, you're working with a professional who's giving you the latest and greatest information. All right, so now I'm off that soapbox. Make sure you're doing security awareness training. And our last highlight for this week is going to be a recap on Cognizant IT firm. They were one of the big MSPs that were hacked, and the threat actors were able to use the MSP's remote access tools to then deploy ransomware to their clients of Cognizant. So it's important that you work with an MSP or an IT professional who also takes security seriously, because you don't want their tools to be the keys to your kingdom. All right, so the ransomware attack cost the company between $50 and $70 million over the next 3 months, and it will incur further costs during 2020. And you know, we're dealing with COVID-19 right now, and here we go, the Cognizant now has to deal with this. The big thing that came out of this is Cognizant, like many of you may be working with an IT firm that does your managed IT, or they manage your security. But they're also probably doing project work for you. They're putting new servers in, they're buying new computers, they're upgrading infrastructure. Cognizant was also doing that with their clients. So Cognizant had contracts in place to do project work for, you know, cable infrastructure, servers, new computers, new office setups, things like that. Well, the clients of Cognizant cut their network access off because they're like, we don't trust you anymore. So now all this project work that they had already sold was already in the pipeline. They probably already bought equipment for, servers for, you know, ready to be deployed into these clients' networks for the projects. They've all been told, stop, we don't want you touching our stuff. We don't trust you anymore. So now Cognizant has a trust issue. They have a business issue where they have material that they can't give to the customer. They can't send it back to the supplier. So they're gonna have to eat the cost of that. So, you know, this just goes to illustrate how dynamic a breach is and how it can affect you. Not only is it a PR nightmare, it's a client relations nightmare, it's a supply chain nightmare, it's a business interruption nightmare. It really are at, you know, your hamstrings are cut, both of them, when you have a ransomware attack and you are trying to continue to operate your business. I haven't seen very many businesses recover from a ransomware attack. You don't want to get a ransomware attack. So do everything you can to make sure you're protecting your business, you're following NIST standards to do everything you possibly can to protect your business, and then make sure you're doing everything on the back end to ensure your business can still operate regardless if it's ransomware, hacking, floods, fires, coronavirus. No matter what it is, your business's expectation is that it's planning to operate regardless of what happens. That's the world we live in today. And if you need help with any of that kind of stuff, I urge you to reach out to your IT professional. And if you're not working with us, I highly encourage you, or if you're not working with one, I highly encourage you to head over to our website at xitx.com, hit the contact us, fill out the information that's requested on that page. Someone from my team will reach out to you and start discussing how we can make your IT and your security a heck of a lot better than it is today. That's it for this week in breaches for businesses. I'll be back probably next week with some more. Pop a comment below if you have any experience dealing with these particular breaches or you've been breached yourself. We want to hear about it, and just give us your thoughts or ask us your questions below in the comments on how you're feeling or what you're thinking about ransomware, breaches, and just in general how you feel about hacking and attacks that are happening on businesses. Thank you for watching this video from Exact IT Solutions, and if you like what you saw here today, please give us the video a thumbs up, and if you have any questions or you want to comment about anything that you saw in our video, please do so in the comment section below. And please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and if you want to get alerted when we upload new videos to the channel, please hit the little alert bell, and hopefully YouTube will notify you when we post new content. Check out the link in the description below for any more information relevant to this video. And if you want to know anything about our services